Hey, family. Another day and another positive thought. Another day to get better. Just thinking about my videos that I've been making, and I've been talking a lot about all the negative traits and the negative thinking patterns. I'm fucking tired, bro. That you can bring into your present life from your past. On the other spectrum, on the flip side, I took a little bit of notes last night. So after I made my video, I wrote on the other spectrum. So in contrary, you can also be exposed to other people like your uncles, your aunts, cousins that also instill positive traits in you, and you carry that forward into your life. So you might have learned the grind, your work ethic, to work for money. I worked my grind. I learned my grind, my work ethic, and to work for money from my uncles. I learned woodworking and antique reproduction. I learned to fix cars. I learned to fix TVs and VCRs. And maybe even they've given me advice. Like one of my uncles always told me to take care of my teeth. They're a little yellow, but bad ones I've gotten pulled out, but I still have most of my teeth. My attention to detail, I got that from my dad, and bring that information and that knowledge base into my mind and into my current life. One of my aunts on my mom's side, basically a lot of transformation started in me when she shared with me a video by Earl Nightingale, and it's called The Strangest Secret. I suggest that you maybe take a look at that if you've never seen it. Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. I was fortunate enough to actually see, I think it was an actual video by Earl Nightingale. Now you got all these AI videos that, the thumbnail is Earl Nightingale, and then it's just it's AI sounding, trying to sound like Earl Nightingale, stuff like that. But, so basically, what has happened in the past is the past, okay? What happens in the future is based on the decisions we make. So I was talking about paradigms in my last video, and I've seen 3 people mention it, and I've seen 3 different explanations on it. Okay, so I looked it up in the dictionary, and so basically I've got one. I've given you guys one. Okay, it said paradigm is a group of habits that are programmed into your subconscious mind that control your behavior. It's a series of events that have happened in your life and the meaning that you give to those events. And then it's set points on certain areas of your life. Basically in finances, like if you're poor, maybe there's a set point for your finances, your work, career, relationships, your health. Then I got on a video and a guy was talking about paradigms, and he defined it as the way we see things. And I was like, hold on, that's not what the last one. So I looked it up in the dictionary, okay? And the only thing that I could find, there's a lot of philosophical, it was a very philosophical definition. So maybe look up paradigm. So I'm learning that we need to do our own research. I suggest no matter what I'm saying, if you hear something, don't just accept it as being truth. research and learning is a big part of changing our the way we see things, which says that's what our paradigm is. So if I put all those definitions together, okay, so in the dictionary, it's basically the outstanding pattern, the dominant pattern, the framework. All right, and as soon as I seen framework, I'm thinking window frame, uh, the frames of your glasses. So, and then the way you see things, the way we see things. So, and you can see the way you see things. And let me pull out one thing here. I want to see if I can't find it, but I know that there's a. So I'm just putting this in there, but because it's kind of what I'm throwing at it. But so the way we see things, we can see things differently. We can look at financial situations. We can look at money different. There's a way we see the whole subject of money. There's a way we see the whole subject of relationships. There's a way that we see the entire subject of health. And there's a whole way that we see like work and career and um, so yeah, you can have a paradigm around all different areas of your life. And that's just the way that you see your perception, your perspective. You can check out those definitions, perspective and perception. And to me, it's like the belief window that I was saying when you come to the the thinking pattern, um, uh, the thinking cycle, or there's the situations and the events, okay, and we see those before we even start to think about it, or get feelings from it, or behave on it. We have that paradigm on that specific subject, that area, that event, that situation. We automatically have in our subconscious mind a mental program. The way we see the small things or the long lasting thoughts that we have ingrained in our memory, in our subconscious mind about that subject. Okay. The glasses. So the glasses that we put on, that we see. Okay, I'm looking at relationships now, right? You get a different pair of glasses because a different paradigm. You had completely different paradigms for different subjects. So it is basically the pattern, the dominant pattern of how we see things, how we perceive it, perception, perspective. Okay. So when you're driving, like sometimes I drive to work or drive home, and I've got so much on my mind, so much mental activity going on. Sometimes I get all the way from work, all the way home, and I'm walking in here and then don't even remember really driving home. I drove that way many times. Okay, boom, 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 boom. It's ingrained in my subconscious mind. Um, Without even thinking about it, and putting the turn signal on well before the right or left hand turn that I know that I am going to take. That is kind of the same way that we function, behave, act, think based on the way we see things, the perspective of so the rules that we place around that. They could be limits. We could be putting limits on stuff. Um, But I think so. We got the way we see things around spirituality. We've got the way we see things about emotions. So and we've got the way we see things about the physical and the mental. But yeah, I did just want to give out a shout out to my family, and I hold no ill feelings, no bad feelings towards any of my family members, alive or deceased. No matter how the past was, all of that made me who I am today, and I love myself. Okay, I do know I have a lot of changing to do, because I want to get better, because I want to change. And that's one of my reasons for digging into this stuff even more and more now, because I believe if we are tired of living the way we are, that we would like to live a different way. It's going to take patience. It's going to take hard work. It is not going to be easy. This isn't some get better overnight, get better in 72 hours, get better in the next week, change your entire life in 30 days. No. This is something that has to be consistent. It has to be deliberate. You have to want it. And you can do this deliberately on purpose in every single area of your life. You can look at your relationships and you can sit there and close your eyes and imagine the relationship that you want to have. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit different for people that are actively abusing and habitually using alcohol or substances or anything like that. It is just because it's going to be different. All right, trying to change, in my opinion. I mean, if it's not causing you any problems or anything, and you don't get into trouble, it's not causing any. If it is in alignment and fits in with what you want, cool, keep doing it. Do you? For me, I have to be completely sober. I have to be 100% aware of my feelings, and my mind's got to be in a clear state. Okay, and I believe it has to be a clean slate, man, to change. But I think in every area of your life, your relationships, your money, your job, any area, your transportation, your car, the clothes you wear, the kind of hygiene you use, anything. I believe, and actually, I'm going to put this all to the test. You got to put it on paper. You got to sit there and lay this stuff out, and you have to do this stuff on purpose. Well, I'm going to do it on purpose. I'm going to lay this stuff out on paper, and I have to keep it going into my mind and through into I read it. I read it aloud. I write it. I say it, just to keep ingraining that into my subconscious. Um, so yeah, family, check it out, man. Like I'm trying to say, just because we have done something so long, just because we've been a certain way for so long, it's not written on some stone tablet that is the way that we have to continue to live. I believe that if we just sit down and think about what type of life we want, I don't care if you're poor, you're squatting, I don't care if you're living in a tent by the river in Janesville. Okay? I don't care if you're on paper and you're in and out of jail, and while I don't care if the government's out to get you, the state's out to get you. They're here to keep you down, keep you on paper. You're just in the system. It's just the way it is, right? I don't believe that anymore. I do not believe it. You can change it. Um, the thing is, change is very hard. We're in our comfort zone. We're in what is familiar and known to us. It is in our subconscious mind that we have, okay, we survive. We learn how to survive. And survival is our main priority, right? Um, and it will be very uncomfortable changing. But if you don't want to be uncomfortable and you don't want to change the way you're living, you don't want to change the results in your life, and then this probably isn't for you. And you probably just go ahead and shut the video off right now. But if you can relate, and because if nothing changes, nothing changes. You can't continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. That's actually the technical definition of that is insanity. Um, you have to change the action, change the behavior in order for the result to change. And um, yeah, so I highly agree with the fact that if you've had a life of substance abuse and your life is completely, what do you call it, dysfunctional, unorganized, completely unstructured, um, yeah, it is probably most likely because of substance abuse. And that's probably the first thing you would have to address. And I would suggest that if you really want to change your life and that is your situation, you it is it is it is advice out there. It is known to be a fact that changing the environment that you live in, you're completely changing your environment, increases your odds of getting sober, increases your odds of becoming abstinent, okay? And do that long enough to where being sober and being abstinent becomes your habit, okay? Being sober becomes a habit just like not being sober. It became a habit, okay? So that was in that order. I would get sober, get clean, get all that shit out of my life, change my environment. Then I would sit down and think what kind of life I want to live, and then I would start small, start making goals. Maybe even in your it's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of time, and a lot of attention. You're going to want to break down almost every area of your life. I guess you can start with one area at a time, which is probably even smarter. But you can, I'm going to be working on. Well, I'm going to be learning this stuff, actually learning to implement it because, like I said, it's not easy. The brain wants to do what it always does. It wants to see things the way it always has. But if you look at a certain area of your life and it's not the way you want it to be, if I look at a certain area of my life and it's not the way I want it to be, I can sit there and see why it's not the way I want it to be. Then I can say, say, oh, like what I want it to be, then you look at your view about that. You try to um, we got to change our identity in that area of our life. Actually, I'm not going to read these notes. They're distracting me from what I'm really trying to say. But we got to get a plan down, written down for our life, what we want. If we just basically, if you're not, it doesn't look like you're going where you want to. I mean, how do you even know where you're headed if you don't even have a compass? Okay, a plan, goals. There is a quote that I can read because that there is kind of distracting. But there's a quote: "He who every morning plans the transactions of the day and follows that plan carries a thread that will guide him through complexities of the most busy life. The orderly arrangement of his time is like a ray of light which darts itself through all his occupations. But where no plan is laid, where the disposal of time is surrendered merely to the change of incidents, all things lie together in one chaos. Any man who wants to," this is another quote. That one there was Victor Hugo. This one here is Jacob M. Broad. And it is: "Any man who wants to succeed must begin by believing wholeheartedly in his own ability. He cannot expect others to believe in him unless he believes in himself. For it is a cardinal rule of life that the world takes a man at his own valuation." That's Jacob M. Broad. Another one by Jacob M. Broad is: "The ultimate in wisdom is to live in the present, plan for the future, and profit from the past." Okay, those I wrote those on the front of my criminal thinking, rational thinking folder. So I wrote those down on there. It's not something that I found. I wrote that down 12 years ago because I found that those were very wise quotes. Hillel in 5 BC. "If I am not for myself, then who can be for me?" But yeah, so a plan, some guidance, some small goals, and it's got to be done deliberately, and it's got to be done consistently on a daily basis. We got the way that we are by doing what we do on a daily basis. We basically have to reprogram ourselves and give ourselves so like I said, our belief window, look through our beliefs. And I was talking about that belief coin that Myron Golden was talking about, and that one side of the coin was faith and one side of the coin is doubt. Well, one side of the coin is faith, joy, happiness, love, hopefulness, optimism. It's positive, okay, um, plentiful. And the other side of that belief coin was doubt, right? Doubt, fear, worry. Um, it's a negative. Looking at there's pessimism, optimism, and pessimism. So optimistic is positive. Pessimism is seeing that things are always going to turn out negatively. So that's a paradigm that nothing ever works out for me. That's a paradigm. Um, like if you're losing your jobs and stuff all the time because of substance abuse and calling in and being unreliable or whatnot, and you keep losing jobs, keep losing your driver's licenses for traffic infractions or whatever. Nothing works out for me. Every time I start to get ahead, something happens. Blah blah. Right. Well, that's because they had no direction. Just floating around the whim of active use. It's got to change our habits if we want to change our life. Nothing changes unless something changes. You can work on, like I said, each individual area. Um, so just like, so basically we got to become, oh, that's another thing from yesterday. So I was talking about how as a kid, up until we're 8, that our mental program is created, that our subconscious mind accepts everything. And I was talking about how, we went through foster homes, youth homes, juvenile pension, and then as an adult, out into the world, now you got to learn how to live, blah, blah. And you meet a girl, a woman, now you're living together, now you got somebody else's whole mindset. Okay, well, I got to go a little further. Now all of a sudden you're not with that woman anymore. You meet a woman that has a child. Okay, and now you're in that woman's life and you're in that child's life. Um, I can't go back in time and change nothing. And you say, if I only knew this back then, if I'd only learned this stuff prior to that. But like I said, that's actually the significant other that I've been with for the past 20 years. Her daughter was 11 years old when I met them, and I was an influence. I was the things that she saw, the things that she heard, those things that go into that subconscious mind, which accepts everything, learns from other people's patterns. Sorry, I'm looking at myself. um, and yeah, I was not the most positive influence, the most positive figure. I was a messed up individual in active use. Um, I didn't see anything wrong with me though. Obviously, I was just living life, man. I've always been a hard worker, and that's basically how I identified myself, as a hard worker. I work hard. I'm smart when it comes to work. I'm detail oriented, very mechanically inclined. So I kind of identified myself through work. Okay, my value came through being able to work hard. I'm talking about some physical labor. I'm smart. I'm also technically smart. Um, but I sure the hell had no skills at being a father figure. And yeah, so she had her first kid. The 11-year-old turned out to be, time goes by, people get older, right? Well, she had her first kid. It's 17. Yeah, 17, I believe. And she has 5 kids now. And I've been in the lives of all of them. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I don't have my own kids. I'm by myself here. I'm trying to work on changing myself, changing the way my life is, working on me. All right, but if you got kids around, you got children watching you, looking up to you, looking for validation and approval from you, looking at how to live, how to react to stuff, how people live life. They're watching you. They're sitting around watching you sit around and play cards and drink and bullshit and smoke pot. And they're watching you argue and yell at each other. Learn our communication skills that way too. They're watching. All right. They're watching if their needs aren't met. They're watching if there's lack. Kids are watching. Is what I'm trying to say. And if you really, really want to leave something to the world when we go, if you got children, They're watching you. Okay. If we've had a dysfunctional life, we got messed up all up here. It all started in childhood, and then everything accumulated out of like life experiences. And but our mental program is developed in those early years of our lives up until we're about 8 years old. Okay, so the things that we see and hear and the emotions we feel from what we see and hear and how we're treated is going to determine the way that we act to feel safe, to feel wanted, to feel validated. So yeah, I know I'm not 100%. I wish I could have been a better example. I wish but I can't. What's in the past is in the past. Future is all depends on the decisions we make. I'm out of coffee right now, so I'm drinking tea. Otherwise, I'd be more awake than I am. Okay, so I said that about the kids stuff. If you got kids, um, you could probably even change your own life by studying about childhood development and trying to make sure your children develop correctly. And I believe that would help a person change a lot. But what the hell? I got something else I was going to talk about. Yeah, let me find that. So yeah, I broke down a couple of things, kind of what I wanted to start changing and do, and basically I wanted to move from drifting to living with intention. Okay, acting on purpose, purposefully and intentionally seeking out certain relationships based on where I want to get in life. We're surrounded by people at work. Okay, yeah, seek out those people that know and are doing the things that you want to eventually do, or that you want to eventually know, or living a life like what you want to live. Okay, yeah, we got to purposely seek these people out. But anyway, moving from drifting to living with intention, moving from focusing on lack to focusing on gratitude for what I have and for what moving from focus on what I don't want to focusing on what I do want and already have. So those are the first three I'm kind of working on. And moving from drifting to living with intention, that's all about goals. That's all about having some sort of vision, some sort of destination I'm trying to get to, and making every single day on purpose, making that's going to be hard, man. It's a lot easier just to keep living the way I am. Just go to work, man, do your job, get off, get your paycheck, pay your bills, and keep eating your food to stay alive. But I'm trying to leave some sort of positive impact in the world before I go. Something. Um, but yeah, that's about all I'm going to say for tonight. I'm tired. I can't think well. I don't know why I'm tired. Guess because I'm telling myself I'm tired. But I'm going to. 1, 2, 3, 4, But yeah, I guess it all boils down to we can absolutely change the way our life is. If we want different results, we can absolutely do it. Um, I'm going to eventually lay out the steps of how I'm doing it, and then when it does happen, when I've got some time into laying out those steps and actively and on purpose and intentionally trying to achieve those goals and the steps and change my paradigm or the way I see certain areas of my life in order for those areas of my life to change. Once I see that it's working and that it and how I did it, I'll get that down. I'll get that written down. Maybe make an ebook or something out of it. Um, maybe a little book. I'm gonna write a book, small one. Now I have to. But yeah, family, you keep pushing forward. Um, get better every day. Just because we've done something so long doesn't mean we have to keep doing it. No matter how old we are, the stuff that I'm gonna be relaying and working on, this is all, like I said, it's programmed, so it's gonna be hard to change. It's gonna take time, quite a while. It's not gonna be easy. You're not gonna see much reward immediately, in my opinion. So it'll be easy to give up. It'll be easy just to slip back into your comfort zone and just to continue on doing what you've always done. And I'm talking to myself as I'm saying this stuff too. I mean, this is sometimes this is just me thinking stuff out. Sometimes it's just me talking to myself. But I'm trying to get it a journal of it, a digital journal, so to speak, to share with people. I'm by um sometimes I sit around, they have our the way we see things. I sit around and you start to think about, okay, man, if I share this video or share that video, man, that's some do I really want people to know that? And blah blah blah, and man, that's some personal stuff. Well, I found out that, or I'm learning that most all of us are alike. Okay, what is most personal is also most universal, in that if I actually do expose personal stuff and I actually do just keep this shit real, unscripted, unedited, like I think on the way to work in the morning and I get these thoughts all of a sudden, I'm like, yeah, man, that's a good idea. I should write that down. I'm like, man, I should just record myself every day on the way to work, and when something pops into my head, write it down. I mean, it'll be on video, right? So like a digital journal. And but yeah, I hope actually if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you've watched most of my other videos, and I don't know, I might have contradicted myself in some videos from one video to another. I'm learning this stuff as I go too. Like I said, there's some information that I know and that I've learned. But this is all about I want a better way, a better life, okay? Yeah, my life has gotten better after I got sober. I've developed a career path. Kind of have my choice at two different career paths right now. Um, being sober has made my life more manageable. I am able to manage things more because I am not wasting my money or and I don't know how to say it, man. But when I was using, man. It wasn't about nothing else but working hard because that's how I've done that my whole life and living a life of partying. Okay, I guess it was after, yeah, man. So yeah, the people that come into your life will change your life also. Try to see everything through faith and not doubt, through positive and not negative. And if you can just do that right now, that'd probably be better too. But I'm rambling on now, making hey, family, friends, co-workers, bosses. I don't know. I'll be at us all again soon with another video. Like I said, this stuff helps me, and so I'm gonna keep doing it. Um, Peace. Love you guys. Next time.